You have been desperate for breakfast this morning. He has been crying since about 3 o'clock this morning, which is not out of character. When Wilbur wakes up, he wants us up. Isn't that true? So something I wanted to do this year was take more books out from the library. One, because I'm spending less. I don't know if you can hear the cat meowing. That's because it is T-minus 9 minutes until breakfast. A lot of noise for a tiny cat. Which, speaking of, Will Prescribe You a Cat was probably exactly what I needed when I read it. It is such a cosy, comforting read. I was a little bit in need of it the week I read it. I was feeling a bit rough around the edges, and it just, I mean, give it a go. I won't say more. I don't want to ruin it, but I think it follows a similar sort of trend we're seeing now in some of the popular Japanese fiction over here, where it's almost like a short story collection. We'll see it with I think it was it the item you're looking for or the thing you're looking for is not in the library, something along those lines. I read that last year, so I'm trying to remember back now. Where it was similarly a collection of stories all relating to this one central locational theme. And Will Prescribe You a Cat is very much in that vein. It just works really well. Everything sort of ties together in the end. See, she doesn't like me talking about other cats. The other one was Bob Mortimer's The Satsuma Complex. This I didn't read when it came out, and I don't know why. Will Prescribe You a Cat I've had probably on request in the library since before it came out, and I had to wait. I think I was like number at least 15 in the queue, so it was that's 3 weeks a pop for multiple people to get through. I think they had a few copies as well, so that's how popular it was. The Satsuma Complex was another good book to read during like a very intense, stressful work week. It is light-hearted. It's a silly adventure. There is a murder plot. There's private detectives. There's a council estate, which I think always marks the sign of a good story, because there's something about the dynamics between the sorts of people you have growing up in either on an estate. It's that like very specific location and the different personality types that are sort of forced to live in close proximity to each other. It's fantastic. Love that. And yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to get when I go today. Who knows if I'll even find anything. So that was February so far, and it's the 10th of Feb, so there's not much there. There's only 2 books so far. What I thought I'd also talk about is the rest of the year so far. For January, I really have stuck to fiction. The first book I read in January, the first week of January, was The Diary of a War Crime by Simon McCleave. Simon McCleave's Snowdonia books I love. And maybe I enjoy his Anglesey ones more, but I love both. I just really love reading about Anglesey. You know, I grew up in North Wales. Diary of a War Crime, however, is the first book I've read by him that isn't set in North Wales. And this is a terrible quality picture, because I'm just showing you from Goodreads, because I read it on my Kindle. And I just want to show you a colour picture. It is his first book that I've read that's set in London, and it follows D.I. Ruth Hunter from when she was DC Ruth Hunter, from before she ever came to North Wales. So this was set in 1997. She's still working for the Met Police, and it was fantastic. It was fast-paced, as fast-paced as you expect from his books. They are all very fast-paced. Sorry, cat was meowing, tail was spinning around like a helicopter, like he's about to take off. He's got the zoomies, post-breakfast zoomies. So following DC Hunter, as she was then, there were some things that didn't quite ring true. I think the use of mobile phones and texting was definitely real, but 1997, I wasn't so sold on. I mean, the mobile phones that were available in 1997 were probably very expensive for, texting. I just don't know that they would have had mass usage by then. It's just, I don't know. It was a really great book though. Really enjoyed it. The next one, I read a Sophie Kinsella book because I live near a WH Smith's and I always see this book on the top shelf there in the little book section. And I've never read a Sophie Kinsella book, but I think she wrote The Diary of a Shopaholic, Confessions of a Shopaholic. So Sophie Kinsella's The Burnout. I actually really enjoyed this. It reminded me a lot of Marion Keyes, of just that like early 2000s feel of fiction, but it's not early 2000s, it's really recent. I think this is 2021 or 2022. It was funny, it was sweet, and there was, a love story in there as well, which you can never go wrong with. Less is Lost. So I read Less by Andrew Sean Greer maybe a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago. I'd bought Less is Lost at the same time because I thought these look great, I'm going to enjoy these. I then didn't read Less is Lost, the sequel. For about 2 years I've had this book. So I think that tells you how I felt about the original. I enjoyed it, just not enough to want to follow it up that quickly. It just didn't spark excitement to read the next one. I'll put it that way. I enjoyed it. The writing style is a little bit more adventurous than what you'd expect for contemporary fiction. I think this is hilarious contemporary fiction, sort of playing with literary form. It's sweet. It's a love story at its core. It is a comedy. It is an adventure. It's like a cross-American adventure. But it's... I don't know. There's something lacking for me. On paper, it should be everything that I would want. And then when it actually comes down to it, I don't know. I wonder if it's the writing style. I think sometimes it gets a little bit in the way of itself and it sort of stops you enjoying it. As we're sort of trying to see, is their relationship falling apart? Is it strengthening? Like, as the rest of their lives go on, it's not so much that it offers insight into the state of their relationships and how they feel about each other. It's more just technically wordy. That sounds very simple, but I think anyone that's read it will sort of know what I mean. It's a book that I feel like should fit in with Sophie Kinsella and Marion Keyes, but somehow doesn't because of the way it's written. So, Celestial Navigation by Anne Tyler. This is a really old cover. That's not the cover that I had because I read it on the Kindle. I'm going to find the updated cover to show you. This isn't the cover that I had, but this is a sort of more recent update, and there's been another one since then. A lot of her books get new covers quite often. Anne Tyler is fabulous. I love Anne Tyler. I don't think there's a single Anne Tyler book I've read that I didn't really enjoy. And it's interesting because at their heart, they're often, on a basic level, family sagas. They are following families. Often they're very ambitious, cover multiple generations of the same family. We usually have an underdog that we're sort of following their life journey through a point in their life. Our character, we sort of follow him from the death of his mother through the death of his sisters to meeting someone, having children, and sort of learning to navigate life on his own. It is very clear from reading the book that he is an autistic man in the 70s when the language around that just was not there. So nobody really knows why he struggles so much with social cues, but also expressing himself and asking for what he wants. At the heart of this book, it is about miscommunication between a husband and wife. But it's heartbreaking in the way that I think only Anne Tyler can do. She has this really, really unique ability, and you will see it every time she writes, for conveying the frustration of what goes unsaid without making it into a sort of silly miscommunication trope. It's bigger than that. It's about the social norms of the time and like the dynamics of these families, and it's just fantastic. Like I cannot recommend any of Anne Tyler's books enough, but this was really enjoyable. And it was also really interesting reading something from the 70s and seeing how her style has really stayed true to itself as the times change. She hasn't really had to adapt too much because of the things she was writing about. She was very boundary pushing at the time, and I think she still is today. So it's remarkable how timeless her books feel, no matter whether it's her recent work or early work. It's breathtaking. So that's brought us up to date. We've already covered February so far. Maybe in 2 weeks' time I'll catch you up on what I've read since then. But yeah, it's been a good start to the year. Focusing on fiction at the beginning is very essential right now. I think, like everyone, January was a very miserable month. The weather's horrible. It's very cold here at the moment in Wales. I went for a walk on the weekend to Rumney and there was snow everywhere. It was cold, but I didn't know it was that cold. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your month, enjoy your reading, and visit your local library. If you don't have a local library close enough to you, see if your library has BorrowBox or Libby, somewhere you can get them digitally for free. The Anne Tyler book, I actually didn't, I've just remembered, I didn't read that on my Kindle. I tell a lie. I read that, no, I listened to the audiobook from my library using BorrowBox. So definitely have a search to see if it's on your libraries, BorrowBox or Libby.